Hello everyone. It's Odago Sound for Fun coming at you with another video. Today everyone, we're moving on finally to the legendary bases. I know it's been quite a slog. Apologies everyone. My plan was to do maybe at least somewhere around 2 or 3 videos a week, but personal life, things like that. But that's no excuse, whatever. No one should have to wait a whole week, whatever, for general opinions on basis for a game that's probably over 6 years old. But that's neither here nor there. Today we're talking about the Ice Dozer. This is a blast from the past for me. One of the many legendaries that came out a couple of years ago. This one was very interesting because there was a lot of changes to the game where when some of these bases and cannons were added to the game, you could switch them around however you wanted. But there was a major update that changed everything where you can't just put whatever base with whatever cannon. You can, but you can't. Here's the thing. If the weight of the base is lesser than the cannon, that tank will move slower than its normal speed. So you have to make sure that if you're going to level up any of your bases or cannons, I recommend that you make sure that you level up your bases first because if you like I said, if your cannon weighs more than the weight of your base, you're gonna be moving like a slug and you'll be just pretty much an easy target and everybody just gonna just take you out and you're not gonna have a lot of fun. This particular base came out before that major update, which means at a time I used to just wreak havoc with this base. This base was awesome, whatever. It's tanky, it has a lot of health, which is what I like. Even though it's slow, but because it's tanky, it can take a lot of hits. The other cool thing is its special ability is a little bit unpredictable, but the percentages are pretty good. It says there's a 50% probability to ignore incoming damage. What that means is every time you get hit, you won't take full damage on every other hit. So it's kind of like an anti crit. Yeah, it's like an anti critical, whatever. So you can get hit and attack will feel like it kind of passed through like it hardly did anything since you're real tanky. And then another time you'll take the full damage. But since it's kind of on a 15% percentile, you don't know when it's going to kick in because 50%, which is a low probability, but it's higher than the 1% for those ones that work when you're at a pinch of life left, which makes for a I think this is a really good ability for a tank base like this. I have this one at was it level 13? That's decent for this. I'll say 12 is a good average to start out, honestly. 13, everything starts costing more. It takes longer to get the pieces to upgrade and stuff. If you can get to at least 11, I'll say at least 12. I'll say 12. Once you get to 12, I'll work on a different one or depending on which one is available to upgrade, but 12 is a good solid number. Wait to get most of your bases, in my opinion. That's just me. And I'm not a I could say I'm a pro, but that's only by my own definition, and y'all could probably debate that. And here's another cool thing about this particular base. There are some bases that are compatible with certain cannons. In the Ice Dozer, when it came out, there was an event where you could get pieces for the Ice Dozer and the Cryo Gun, which I have right there. You can see that. See? Yeah. Yep. Now, the problem with the Cryo Gun, it was hard to get in the beginning when the crowd gun first came out. It seemed nearly impossible to get pieces for it. Later they started adding it, but at first it was such a random chance to get it in legendary. People get frustrated, and the fact you get the pilot is like common, but it's weird. Both bases are legendary, which doesn't make any sense to me. Go figure. Now, what I don't know is, even though this base and this cannon came out the same event, I don't believe there's a complementary ability that, when you use this base and this cannon, that, is going to like give you a special, edge. What I can say is that the crowd gun is a freeze, type cannon, and the ice dozer has a similar thing that's kind of compatible. If you're taking on someone else with a crowd gun, the damage you would normally take from freeze with that 15%, ignoring damage, it can allow you to kind of tank through a lot of attacks. Virgo being ice those or whatever. I don't know. Well, enough babbling on. I'm going to show you guys this thing in action. And if you're going to use it, it is primarily for tanking, whatever. I would say long range. No, sorry, scratch that. Mid range and close. Yeah, mid range and close. But when you got the crowd gun, see, look at that. See how I kind of like flashed when it hit me? That 15%, it ignored some of the damage. So I didn't take the full damage. Now, I probably still get knocked out, but I was able to avoid a hit that probably would have took me out a while ago. Its speed is not great, but like it can take a lot of considerable hits, whatever. But when you have something like this, you pretty much well protected. You don't really have to worry about too much. Now, if you want to know what kind of board to use this on, honestly, it's pretty adaptable in my opinion. I don't know if there's one board that it's better on. Since it's a tank, whatever, it'll pretty much do just about any board, whether it's closed or open. I would say another good match for this particular cannon would be the Mjolnir. If you get up close to somebody, a tank like this can ignore hits, whatever. When you hit them, with the hammer, you can get up in close and personal and just kind of, wear away at them. But overall, everyone, I think the Ice Dozer is a very excellent base. Now, I don't use as much lately as I used to because there's better ones that I like, whatever. But if you want to know where it's worth investing in, I say yes. Yes, yes. If there's an event and it's offering, I'll say go for it. It's worth it. Not one that I use currently. I use a better one, which is either the Forester or I'm using one of the shattered bases or cannons. Generally, the Forester is my primary. But the Ice Dozer was one of my top 5 at one point. So, I hope you like my showcase of this legendary, and we'll be covering more legendaries. I'm sorry the last ones were not that great. The creativity in the bases was not as great as with the cannons. They're kind of, on the touch and go. Probably the only good epic was probably this one, the heavy tracks. But, this is when the game first came out. So they gotten better a little bit over time. But I believe, everyone, that the videos will get much more interesting because a lot of these legendaries are very unique and have a lot of cool abilities that can really shake the game up. Now, there's one drawback with these legendaries. A lot of these legendaries, you gotta do these events. I don't know if any of y'all are going to be like whales, like paying for the premium stuff. Personally, I used to do the premium pass for a time only to get my cannons and bases to a reasonable level, like to level 12, and then I didn't pay anymore. But you can go free to play. It'll take you a while, but you can you can get a pretty decent. Doing events will get you up there, and it'll kind of help your. I'll do a separate video. I believe I already did a video on being in a clan, whatever. But enough of that, y'all. Hope everyone's having a awesome day, and I hope everyone has an awesome weekend to come. I look forward to doing more video for you guys, and I've already forgotten the guy who sent me the suggestion about starting a new clan. I think that's a great idea. I hope he sends another message of I'll let him decide the name of a new clan, and once he gets the name of the new clan, I will put it in the description on my channel so that everyone knows where to look for me, us, our old clan. It was it was what it was. This happens. I've been in dead clans before. This is my first time running a clan. It takes a lot to keep people, motivated in line. You got to have the synergy, or you need the communication, all that stuff, whatever. It's you really have to engage. I'm learning. This is all still kind of new to me, whatever. I've had this channel for a bit, but I've kind of fell off a little, but I'm trying to be a bit more active with it. So feel free, guys, to send in comments, suggestions. If I'm doing anything wrong, I'm very open. I'm very flexible. I'll be honest. I've been playing other games, but I do play this one a little bit more frequently than off and on. But with the channel growing and more people, you know, chiming in, I'm getting a new motivation to try to come up with new ideas. I hope that the developers of the game see our smaller community and decide to expand and, fill in this thing that they kind of left. Like, do something with this Clan Wars right here. It would be really cool. If they had a Clan Wars, that would really motivate people in clans to, work towards something. Because this, eh, it helps, but it's not enough to keep people playing consistently, honestly. You need a little bit more. Yeah, you'll need a little bit more. Yeah. So, again, everyone, have an awesome weekend. Till next time, I'm out of here. Peace.